Kenny Moore, man, he had a quote after the game, really just kind of calling everybody out, and rightfully so, because the product on the field just hasn't been very good. Here's Kenny Moore, obviously frustrated after the loss to the Buffalo Bills.
I don't think everybody is working as hard as possible, and obviously it's showing. I'm not the type of sugarcoat it, honestly. If I don't think the urgency is there. I don't think the details are there, so I don't think the effort is there, and I don't see everything correlating from meetings to practice to the games, and it shows.
That was Colts defensive back Kenny Moore, who's playing really well this year. And that quote is, oh man, revealing. According to Kenny Moore, guys aren't working hard enough, the details aren't there, and the urgency isn't there. And that's not acceptable in anything, okay? Whether you're a professional athlete, whether you're a lawyer, doctor, radio host, barista at Starbucks, like, you should work hard in everything that you do, and the effort should be there in everything that you do. Simple as that. But when you're a professional athlete getting paid millions of dollars to play a kid's game, the effort and the urgency and the want to should always be there. And Zaire Franklin echoed similar feelings after the game. Here's what he had to say. This quote coming from Nate Adkins, quote, "There's guys on the team that need to learn how to raise their level of play. When you get to this time in the season with so much film out there, it's not to say practice isn't important. Practice is definitely important, but preparation takes hold in many different aspects. With us having such a late bye and with so many guys banged up, preparation might not always be practice. It might be how much time you spend in the building, how much time you spend in the meeting rooms, or how much time you're doing to perfect your craft." That's Zaire Franklin after the game, echoing concerns about the preparation from his teammates. And that's got to be incredibly frustrating. I just remember playing baseball in college. We had guys who did the bare minimum. They'd show up at practice and then they'd go home, and then you had other guys like me and some of my good friends. We'd show up early to practice and we'd hit, and then we'd take infield after practice, and then we'd go hit some more. Like you have guys that just don't put in the effort, and that is incredibly frustrating. For the Colts, I want to say this one more time. That way my words don't get construed here. It is never okay to not give full effort, and it is never okay to not do your best, whether you're a professional athlete or you do any other or you do any other job. In the case of the Colts, I want to say that I understand. Michael Pittman Jr., Zaire Franklin, Kenny Moore, Julian Blackmon, Raekwon Davis, Grover Stewart, and Tyquan Lewis all signed extensions or new deals here with the idea that Anthony Richardson was going to be the starting quarterback going forward. They signed with the thought that the revolving door at quarterback had been stopped. Then, after a 4-4 start, the organization bailed on the guy that they all thought was going to be the starting quarterback. They bailed on the guy that they thought was going to be, the consistent quarterback while they were here in Indianapolis. And as soon as they moved off Anthony Richardson, as soon as they benched him, the revolving door at quarterback began spinning again, this time with Joe Flacco walking through the door. And that has to be deflating. Like, ever since Andrew Luck retired, it's been the exact same thing repeatedly for the Colts. And because of the Colts' philosophy on re-signing their guys and doing all that, a lot of these guys have been here for the majority of those 6 seasons after Luck's retirement. And I bet that they're sick of it. Like, that's got to be so incredibly deflating. Like, they've seen this story before. They were here for Gardner Minshew and Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan, and Sam Ehlinger played quarterback that year, and Nick Foles played, and they were here for the Phillip Rivers season, which was successful. But like they've been here. They've put up with this revolving door quarterback for the last 6 or so years. And that has got to be incredibly frustrating because they've seen this before and they've got to be sick of it. Now, once again, that is not an excuse for the lack of effort that Kenny Moore is accusing his teammates of. But I get it. If you've ever worked in a dysfunctional environment, then you understand it too. I worked at Taco Bell when I was in college, and the manager was terrible. He was awful. Guy was from California, didn't understand, small town Arkansas. He was entitled. He'd never worked like in the restaurant, he never had to like make the tacos and wrap them and deal with customers. He never had to do that. He'd always been in management, and eventually he got fired. But the new guy that they brought in to run the restaurant was just as terrible. And when the guy from California got fired, hope went up. Like, okay, the people in charge, they see that there's an issue. They're going to bring in a new guy. They're going to fix it. And everyone, all my coworkers at the Taco Bell, they were all expecting something different. And then they hired this new guy and nothing changed. And it upset everyone even more. Morale got even worse. When you're on the brink of change for the better and it doesn't happen, that upsets people. And when you look at the Colts and you look at these guys that have been here for a while, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Braden Smith, Michael Pittman, Zaire Franklin, EJ Speed, Kenny Moore, just go down the list. All of these Colts players were expecting something different this year. And it started off that way. They had Anthony Richardson as their starting quarterback, right? And they were 8 games into the season. They were 4-4. There was no need to make the switch because the playoffs were still in play. And then what'd they do? The Colts made the switch to Joe Flacco, and it's been bad ever since. Once again, the lack of effort isn't okay. It's never okay. Once again, you should do your best in everything that you do, whether you like what's going on or you don't, whether the guy who's playing quarterback you like or you don't like. Doesn't matter. You should do your best no matter what. But I doubt that this would be an issue if the Colts had just continued playing Anthony Richardson. Okay, because I remember when he got benched, everyone was surprised, and they didn't seem very happy about it. They make the switch. Nothing has been good ever since that happened.